It's crazy early in the morning. We're at Capital HQ. There's a little bit of drizzle in the air, but we are buzzing. Why? Because we're off on a bit of a continental Belgian PB hunt. It's going to be an adventure, a laugh, and you're going to be with us every step of the way.
There, get it.
I'm taking no risks whatsoever, straight in the boat with this one.
Come on, come on. No, 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 no.
And that's it. I can do no more. I've tried my little backside off to try and tempt one of these carp.
Don't miss him. Jesus, get a bit. Nightmare, isn't he? Yeah, how many attempts did you want? Jeez.
Oh, mate. Come on the boys!
Thank you very much, old girl. Look at that. Gotta give it one then, haven't you?
Hopefully, between us, we can beat our Belgian PBs, which aren't substantial at the moment. We're off to a mega venue, and things, if we can finally get on the road, are all good in the hood. Hopefully, Mr. Pitchers will join us soon. Here he is!
Sorry, here I am.
How you feeling, mate?
I feel pumped, proper pumped.
You look pumped. Hey, it's going to be a good trip. We've got to get the gear in the van. We've got to get going because we're going to miss our crossing. Let's do it, yeah? Come on, big one. Oh, no, and again. And again. And again.
What's going on?
There
you
was a good one.
Okay, let's go.
Chocolate, waffles, beer, carp. Not in that order. But I don't know how long Embryo have had it for. I think they've only had it for a short period of time.
The f is my sat nav taking me? This is
You're going on the tunnel.
Dann beim Kreisverkehr
That's
nehmen
right.
die erste Ausfahrt
Yeah, but
auf A229
not this way. Never ever come this way before.
Maidstone.
It's sending me a mental way. Literally, you stay on a motorway and you get off and you're there.
Yeah, you get off and you're there.
So, Hassan, we are going, not to France, to Belgium.
Indeed, mate. To Carp Arena, Embryo Carp Arena.
Why are we going there?
Why? Because I rang up John Wilkes, lovely John Wilkes, and said, John, I want to do some fishing in Belgium. And he said, oh, I've got a venue. It's only an hour away, the other side of the tunnel, with loads of big fish in it. Do you want to come and fish it? And I said, oh, yes. And I'll take my friend, who's much better in a boat with me, and has fished there before, with me. And he went, yes. Do it, film it, make it happen. So that's why we're doing it.
Well, there's that reason, and also the reason that I have fished here before.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it here. I did was it a challenge? I think it was a Fox challenge I did here. Absolutely loved it. We caught some amazing carp. We're really, really unlucky with our timing. We came just after the fish had spawned. All the big uns were in a bit of a dour mood after spawning. All the small fish were really active still. And that's all we really caught. We did catch a few nice ones, a few 30s, but didn't feel like we unlocked the true potential of this venue. And I always wanted to come back. And I said, Hassan, make it happen. I want to go back.
We're
And
back.
Back. Fishing for big fish in an amazing venue, a proper history venue as well. I love this sort of fishing.
Yeah, mate. Well, let's get this last bit of mileage done, get there and see what it's all about. I'm looking forward to clamping my eyes on the place.
Okay, here we go.
Here he is.
All right, mate. How are you? You saw some lost random English people.
Well, you might thought. Obviously, noticed that. I know where you're driving. You're always in the sign. You know how it goes. So you're good?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Really
How are you?
good.
All right?
Easy travel, isn't it?
Mate, it's joy, isn't it?
Doddle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joy. It really
Yeah,
was.
let's go down to the lodge and sort your boys out.
Well, after just a 1 hour drive from Calais, we are here. It's been just over a year since I was here last, and there has been loads of work done to this place since Embryo took over this fishery. It really is impressive, but what is most impressive, I feel, is the amount of work that has gone on while still retaining this lake's true character. That was a carp down that margin. We've just been watching fish fizzing down the left-hand margin. There's some coloured water down there. Hassan's convinced the tench. I'm like, they're quite big bubbles for tench. And the fish has just bow waved down that margin.
Tench, definite tench.
So yeah, we've already had a guided tour from the guys have shown us around the whole complex, and we're both absolutely itching to get started. The lake looks absolutely stunning. This is Clover Lake. This is where I fished last time when I came here on a fox challenge. This is the lake that has so much history behind it. The stock in this lake is absolutely incredible. It holds some absolute gems, some real old warriors, some real history fish. And I was unlucky last time not to get into any of them old classic fish, old classic Belgian carp. I'm hoping I'll get a chance this time round. Hassan, what are you feeling?
Mate, I like it. There's a lot of options, isn't there? We're in the dead tree swim. The lads have showed us round and briefly pointed out sort of key areas, but pretty much it's a swim of two halves, isn't it? We've got a left-hand side here and a right-hand side. We're gonna have to decide who goes where. But as a lake, mature, beautiful, stock's incredible, and I can't wait to get out there, find some spots and get those rigs deployed, mate.
Got the van unloaded?
Yeah, let's do it, mate. Let's do it.
There we go.
Now, bait-wise, one thing I know about this lake, having never fished it before, is there are a few, very few, but there are some tench present. I also know there's some massive carp in here. So I'm pretty much going predominantly with a boilie-based attack. I've got 18, 15 and 12 mil cell boilies. I've put some boilies as well through the Ridge Monkey chopper and through the little crusher just to get sort of a fine powder and smaller items as well. I've added some lake water to that to wash them out slightly and a liberal dose of smart liquid to increase the sort of cloud. It is quite clear in areas out there and I want the baits to be down, present, create a cloud which fish can perceive as other fish feeding and maybe come and investigate the spot. That's pretty much it. There is some pellets, some house pellets, some 12 mil pellet, and I have got some 6 mil pellet, but I'm not going to put them in to start with. I'm going to go out and out boilie, maybe just fish for a bite tonight as we're racing against the daylight, and then build from there. But essentially, it's boilie only. I'm going to go in with that quite direct, quite sort of, how can you say, outlandish approach in terms of single ingredients and see from there how we go. It might be a case of putting more in areas, but I'm going to find some spots, fish for a bite tonight, and then see what happens from there.
Well, I've already got one rod positioned down the margin, which I sent out with the bait boat. But right now, I'm looking for a feature towards the island straight out in front of me. Got big overhanging trees there, and it looks absolutely prime under here. In the boat, I have a prodding stick ready to go. You can also use a leading rod, a spare leading rod for this. I do like that sort of hands-on feel that you get. So that depth. That's very squishy. Don't think we need all that. Very soft. Really soft. Wouldn't have expected it here. I thought there'd be some nice hard areas. It's pretty deep as well. I think these fish are going to be in the slightly shallower water. Let's see what it's like under these branches. Surprisingly deep, so close in. There's a fish. I can see a fish on the surface just here in front of me. Oh, I can see. Oh! I can see a lot of fish on the surface in front of me. Right, bin this off. I just ran the back of this island here. Oh my God, there's a shed load of them. There's some big fish there as well. There's some absolute tanks there. Okay, that's where this rod's going. So we're going out to put the third and final rod in position now. I briefly mentioned earlier that a lot of people can get themselves in a bit of a flummox when they're out in a boat, and it does just come with practice. But one thing I do notice is people are very unorganised. There's a lot of clutter in the boat, and all these things really do contribute to things not running as smoothly as they should. And when you're out in a boat playing a fish, if it's something you haven't done before, it can be a little bit unnerving, and it's totally different to playing the fish on the bank. So in order for things to run smoothly, it really is important to be super organised. In the boat, I've just got the bare minimum kit. I've got the rod, I've got a prodding stick, I've got my bait, and I've got a little bag there with some spare leads, some scissors in case I need to cut any line, or that was close. Got a bit of a bow in the line going to the rod. Luckily I saw that just in time, otherwise that rig would have been But in the boat, as I was saying, all I've got is my rod that I'm going to drop. I've got a prodding stick, I've got some bait, I've got a little bag there with some spare leads, some scissors, some back leads, and that's pretty much it. Obviously I've got the echo sounder on here as well. I see people with all sorts of unnecessary clutter in the boat, and obviously if once the rods are dropped in position, we'd have a landing net in the boat as well. And that would be all that's really needed. Go down with the donk, please. That's the one. Although the spot I'm actually placing the rig is relatively small-ish, there's quite a bit of patchy weed there. I'm being quite liberal with the bait. You're not going to be able to concentrate, these size fish onto a bucket lid. And I do want to create a nice active feeding area where these fish can graze around. I think when you're fishing for big fish, I think people do introduce the bait on too tight a spot. You know, you're trying to create an active feeding response where these fish are grazing in the area, looking for food. There we go. Trap set. Alright, be mindful of this other line which has got a little bit of a bow in at the moment. Right, Hawaii 5-0, here we go.
I'll come all this way.
You in?
I'm in.
Get that on camera. On camera. What a legend.
Well, this was very unexpected. Just had a little bit of a nightmare, a little bit of a drama. And I was thinking tonight is not going to be my night. And then the rod that's fished down the margin, the swinger's just tightened up, dropped back down, and the rod's just hooped over, and I'm playing a fish. But yeah, the drama that unfolded earlier, there was a raft of floating weed had gone through and picked up my two rods that were fished long, and I think it had moved the leads out of position. So I was just about to go in the boat and reposition them rods, and then this rod's rattled off.
Belgian PB, mate. It could be.
No, I don't think it's huge. It doesn't matter. It's at this early stage to get a bite so quick. I mean, I've only got one rod in the water right now, and that's the rod that's gone.
Go on, the boy. First night birds. Mate, you definitely deserve that. Oh, he's not bad, eh?
He's not a bad one. I said anything. It's first night.
You're not tense.
Ooh. Up to the net, mate. No, he's not. I'm not sure about that. He's... But he isn't. He's a bit bigger than I first thought. There he is. Come on. Come on. Ooh. Oh. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. No, 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 you know, no. Oh. There, get it. You were trying to push him off with the net, I'm sure of it. Just tickled him with the net. No wonder he's not that big.
Got to keep on your toes, mate. It's easy to just drop him, isn't it?
There he is. There he is. Right, don't miss him this time. Don't miss him. Jesus, get him. There, isn't he? How many attempts did you want? Jeez.
Yeah, he's a nice carp.
That's the worst netting I've ever seen.
But he's in the net, isn't he? Mate, I was at full stretch there. I can't excuse the second one. The third time's a good, isn't it?
Yeah, third time a charm.
Mate, that's Belgian PB.
It might be.
I think
Oh, he is quite a big one, isn't he?
I think that's Belgian PB.
He's very leathery.
Yeah, but that's what you want.
Oh, no, that's what I mean. I didn't mean that in a bad
You
way.
deserve that, mate.
Look at that.
You genuinely
I reckon
do.
I've seen that one down there.
Is that the big one?
I think it is.
Bigger than that is, mate.
Yeah, I think that.
40 in it?
Yeah, I think that's the one, big one that we saw.
You there?
Right. Okay, so that's it, road. Right.
Should we lift him? I'll get the net out.
Okay, we just zeroed the sling already.
What are you saying? Your Belgian PB, what is it?
37, something
So
like that.
It's done that.
You ready?
Yeah, go on, you lift, boy. It is. Oh, there, beast. I'm gonna give you, when it stays still, $43.14.
Oh, there you go.
$43.14 I'll give you.
Was it off the ground? Feels heavier than that.
Oh, actually.
No.
No,
43.13.
There you go.
Yeah, 43.13, mate. Bang on. Well done, though, mate.
you
Belgian
go.
PB.
Belgian
Get the
PB.
buckets. Yes. I wouldn't do that to you after that netting, mate. That is a corker, isn't it?
He's an old brute.
An
that's for sure.
old Belgian brute.
Well, to comply with the fishery rules, any fish over 15 kilo has to be photographed in the water, which is a rule I totally agree with. And I do actually think it's a lot easier to handle big fish in the water than it is out on the bank. And what an absolute touch this is. First night back on Clover Lake, and we've got this absolute brute of just under 44 pound, just shy of 20 kilos. So it's given me another target, a Belgian 20 kilo, but there he is, an absolute brute of a fish, proper old warrior. Slate grey, he's got old battle scars all over him. That is a proper cool carp, and right now I couldn't be happier. Well, one last look before she swims away. Thank you very much, old girl. Look at that. Go on, give me a kick. And there she goes. Got to give it one of them, haven't you? Right, rod back out. Want a 20 kilo next.
This is a top little gadget, mate. I'm happy with this little fire, mate. And you've had an exceptional night after an absolute crazy long day yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't get off to a much better start, could it? Well, it could have done. You could have caught something as well.
You don't need to do that, mate. 40 pounder on a first bite is mega, mate. A Belgian PB, which is what you came here to do.
What's a Belgian PB? Yeah, that is what we both came here for, wasn't it?
You've not had a bucket. Yeah.
That doesn't count. That's not buckety.
I think that is a PB, regardless of how big or wherever,
You think?
is bucketable. In the comments, if he deserves a bucket, type bucket. If he
think it's just
doesn't,
an
don't comment,
overall
because he
PB.
definitely deserves a bucket. But that first day, obviously the result at the end of it, which was mega, but it was long, wasn't it, mate? Getting everything ready, getting everything out just before sort of the sun set. It was busy, wasn't it?
It was, and just after I got everything sorted, that's when I had that absolute nightmare, didn't I? There was that lot of floating weed. The thing is, it isn't floating, it isn't sort of visible floating weed. It's actually sort of just underneath the surface. You don't even know it's there. So when I'd bolted the rods out and then come back,
A lot of that weed, which is just sort of sat in the surface, had caught around the lines. A little bit of a breeze had picked up. I had a massive bow in the line, and it dragged 6-ounce leads out of position. I'd gone back out to sort it all out. By then it was dark. Both rods had to be redone, and I'm like, you know what? I'm absolutely exhausted. I think if I go and do anything now, I'm tired. Stuff's going to start to go wrong.
Yeah.
So I thought best thing to do is just leave that one rod fishing for the night, and sort it out in the morning. And that's all it needed, wasn't it? That one rod that was fishing.
I don't think I'll forget that take. We were sitting here waffling like we are now, mate, and literally, like, there it was. And it was a mega one as well, like a proper Belgium-y, styly, oldie, gnarly one, wasn't it?
That's why we came here, to catch fish like that. I mean, there's some, as well as them old, gnarly ones, there's some absolutely stunning scaly fish in here as well. Your classic Belgian mirrors and your classic Belgian slate grey and chestnut commons as well. There's some absolutely magnificent fish in here.
Yeah, too right.
And that's why it's been held in such high regard by some of the well-known Belgian big fish anglers over the years for so long.
It's beautiful, mate, as well, isn't it? What's the plan for today? What's the plan?
The plan is to get, well, my rods are now finally fishing properly. I've been out this morning, I've got the rods in place.
And this right-hander, I'm guessing, staying where it is, because that's done your bite, hasn't it?
Yeah, so that right-hander is going to stay where it is. I'm very confident in that. The area where I've seen fish fishing this morning, saw them yesterday, happy with that. My middle rod, not so sure. Not sure. I can see me putting 2 rods down this right-hand margin, which is a bit of a squeeze, given the angle of the line. But the rods themselves are going to be fished well apart. It's just the line angle's a little bit.
You'll have them, mate. I think you'll have them, especially that right-hand spot, mate. It's done one bite, it will do some more. I think the exact opposite for me, mate. I think I've probably helped 1 rod fishing, the other 2, because of this floating weed, I think have been taken out, probably leads are moved. I'm going to wait until midday-ish, see out bite time. If nothing happens, I'm going to go and re-drop them. I might scoop the bait boat around and have a little look if I can find some spots, because you can use a bait boat on here. And then I'm definitely going to stick that one where I already have had it under that tree. And then the other 2, I might move around depending on what happens. But either way, fire's going, kettle's on, you've caught a 40-pounder. Life is good, isn't it?
I'm not complaining.
Top man. I need a cup, mate, and some coffee. And then when this is done, hopefully, we'll get a bite.
That's a big edge.
That's good, mate. Fire's a big edge.
So you've seen Clover Lake. It's an absolutely stunning looking lake. And you've seen just some of the fish that this lake holds, but there's much bigger fish in here than what we've caught. There's some absolutely incredible looking carp. I mean, just look at some of these. And the best thing is, you and a mate could be fishing here next year with all your traveling costs covered, with all your bait provided for just 99p. Because right now, over on Capital Carp Competitions, there's an amazing prize for you and a mate to be fishing here in 2025, and you could be catching fish like this for less than £1. So head over to the website, grab a ticket, and good luck.
£1 you'd lick a slug. You'd lick a
slug.
Oh, well, what, 6-inch slug?
A 6-inch slug?
Yeah, a proper slug. Yeah.
A 6-inch?
Yeah, like fully stretched.
Lick it?
You'd lick it. You'd lick a 6-incher for £1 million.
I don't think I could.
You could. But if somebody just held it there in front of you, you'd lick it.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, of course you would, £1 million. There you go. It's fine. I knew you'd do it.
2 hours later.
Million, yes. I'd do it for £1 million, obviously. $500,000, yes.
Okay.
250 grand to
100, surely?
Yes.
Yeah.
100 grand.
You're in.
I'm in.
What does it feel like?
It doesn't feel that big.
Yeah, but the old right-hander is the
That's
one,
the
mate.
one, isn't it? That is the
Lovely
one.
bit of work.
I might net this one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why you'd not trust my netting after yesterday's 3 swipes and you're in.
You're coming?
How long's that been out for, mate? It's not been out that long, has it?
No, it hasn't. What's it been? A few hours, hasn't it?
That was prickle on the boy. 20 kilo.
Do you want to hold that one?
Yeah. Good, mate.
Okay.
I've got you. I've got
I
you.
think he's just on the top. Right, here we go. I need to get a float. Sort this out. Right, where was this? Okay. We need to get round this corner a bit. Well, I just had to take to the boat there. The fish managed to get caught up on the many branches that are running down this right-hand margin. There's a few posts sticking up out the water as well. So it was starting to feel a little bit dicey at one point. But I've gone out in the boat, cleared him from all those tree canopies and branches. I've managed to make my way back to the swim, where we can hopefully land our second fish of the trip. Here he is this time. This time, he's in there somewhere, don't know where. Where are you? I think he's come off. He has. Oh no. Okay, this is going to take some doing. Well, that's one way to net him. Get in. And there we go, fish number 2, a really angry, feisty male, which gives me the proper run around. This one's around 22 pounds, something like that. Half the size of the fish I caught last night, but size doesn't really matter. It's another incredible fish from this fantastic venue. But right now, I really do want to get that rod back out in position because I think there's another chance down that right-hand margin today.
No, that is one out. Time for me to get a float, I think.
Actually, I've seen you in a boat.
What are you trying to say?
Do you want me to come out with you and give you a little bit of assistance?
Trying to say that I'm absolutely inept in a boat, mate?
No, it just took you 3 hours to get one rod out and it was just like kind of in a big splodgy, salty shit pile out in the lake somewhere.
Nice. I'm going to say yes, mate. You've done a lot of this. I've done hardly any of this. I think it's my second ever trip dropping from a boat. So I reckon that'll probably be a good course of action and will probably, hopefully, lead to me maybe getting a bite or two. So yeah, that'd be greatly appreciated, mate. Let's double team it.
Yeah, okay, let's get a float then.
Free tutorial.
We'll go in the boat. Tom, cameraman, is staying on the bank
He's with the rods.
to keep an eye on the rods. So I need that.
Cheers,
Need
mate.
that.
Let's do it.
Let's go and find some spots.
Right, I'm ready. I've got it lined up. In there. Yeah, that's about it.
What you want?
That is my one.
Happy days.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh yes. Right, how do we get out of there? That line there.
Is that all, have you put all your bait in?
No, I'm not going to put any more than that in here, am I?
You put in a couple of handfuls, didn't you?
That's what I need, isn't it? In there?
A bit short there.
Well, that far rod fished in between the island just had to go. There were so many fish there yesterday evening, so many fish there this morning. I was surprised I hadn't gone earlier. Rod's absolutely smashed over. Fishing totally locked up on that one, didn't give it an inch. And now we are playing it in. It's picked up a bit of weed on the way in. There's a big ball of weed gathered just down here. So although it looks like the line's going there, the fish is still at least 100 yards out. I'm not liking how this fish is coming in though. It keeps sort of locking up. It keeps locking up, then coming free, and this ball of weed in front's going to cause me a few issues. So I think the best thing I can do actually is get in the boat. I want to do that right now. Well, there's a lot of weed between myself and where I'm fishing. I could feel the fish locking up every now and then, and with such big fish in here and such a lot at stake, I wasn't going to risk anything. So as soon as I managed to turn the fish away from the island and any potential snags, I just got straight in the boat to do battle out here. That way, if the fish does get stuck in any weed beds, I'm kind of straight on it to get it moving again. Plus there is, I mean, this lake was known as a notoriously snaggy lake since Embryo have taken over there. They have removed so many of the snags, but there's always a chance that there's still some remaining. There he is. There he is. Oh, that's not a bad fish. He's coming in quite cooperatively at the moment. He's wrapped up in a ball of weed. I think his eyes are covered. Oh, he's not that big. What I thought was all fish is also fish and weed. Come on, let's have you. Really need a thrust of the outboard to see that fish go in the net. Can't tell where my other lines are though. All he's doing is just dragging behind the boat. We can't land him. He's just going to stay there like that. We can't land him. Where's my lines, mate? Where am I away from my other lines? I'm over it. Right. Right. Try again. There we go. There we go. Get in there. Just needed a little bit of a thrust with the outboard, and we got him. There we go. Fish number 3.
Okay, right, let's get back to the bank. We'll take a look at this one. Well, here we are, fish number 3. And it's another very lively, angry, feisty 20-pounder. There you go, look at that, showing a few battle scars from spawning, but still a really cool looking carp all the same. And while I'm here in the water, actually, good chance to give a bit of a tip on handling the carp in the water. I know more and more fisheries these days do state that the fish have to be weighed and photographed in the water itself. And I know a lot of people do find it a little bit tricky. We see this one's behaving quite nicely, but I think the main thing I would say is get your photos of it over the mat. Then if the fish does flip out of your hands, it just lands on the mat. So get your photos done over the mat so you've got some guaranteed bank of photos in the bag. Then when you think the fish has calmed down enough and you're comfortable enough to deal with the fish without a mat underneath, then get your photos, just like that. This one's behaving really, really well. I think if you are kind of assertive, firm, but also chilled with them, I think they're also quite chilled out themselves, as this one's been. So there you go, another awesome looking carp, behaving very, very nicely. I think it's time to slip him back.
Unlike the European hauling superstar that is Mark Pictures, my fortunes thus far, after just over about 24 hours in, haven't been as fortunate in terms of captures. I have certainly learnt a lot though going out in the boat with him. What's really nice about this trip for me is that a lot of my UK fishing, I'm pretty much, I'd say, in my comfort zone. I'm happy fishing any size of water, weedy, clear, whatever. However, boat work, being abroad on a venue I haven't seen, for the first time in a very, very long time, I am out my comfort zone. It's great for me as an angler, I get to learn, I've experienced anglers like Mark, but it's a different aspect to my fishing. What I had noticed going out in the boat with Mark is that where I was placing my rigs before, yes, it was firm bottom, but it was far too, I'd say, conservative with regards to its distance from structure and its relevance to shallow water. If I was fishing in the UK, with weather like this, I'd be fishing the shallowest water I could on top of a bar, for example. I'd be happy. Here, I was fishing in slightly deeper water than I needed to. And a key lesson that I've learned is to find that shallow water as I would do in the UK. And most of that shallow water is in and around the edges of the venue. And it's close to structure. He also taught me a real good sort of edge in terms of defining how clear a spot is by using a little donking rod and just dragging it across, because it might look snaggy, but it's actually clear underneath. So where those rigs are now deployed, I'm really happy with. And I feel, as I said before, for me, it's all a learning curve. I think the first 24 hours, realistically, I wasn't in the right locations. However, the two rods that are fishing across the far side are in the shallow water, right up against structure, but not dangerously. It's all nice and clear. I've done the old test that Mark's taught me. And then the third has been where I've actually seen a fish show right in the end of this wind in the bay to my left. I haven't had any rods in there. I have put a bit of bait in there or trickled a bit of bait there over time and haven't really seen anything. But I have seen a bit of fizzing. And so I've just used the old RT7 and dropped that. Really nice and tight, again in shallow water near some structure, which is nice and clear. So I'm a lot happier going into tonight knowing that my rigs are placed in better positions, just like Mark's, and that I feel more comfortable with the style of fishing. That will all go out the window if I do get a take and I have to take to the boat and play it. But that's what we're all about, stretching ourselves, developing, learning and enjoying some time on a mega venue with a great angler.
I've seen meat grey in colour before.
I think you'll find it seared in what tech has left over on this and what we could best clean. And also, originally I put it directly on the barbecue and it was probably hotter than something that I won't say because we're being filmed, but it was very hot. And
hotter than who? What were you thinking?
I was going crackhead spoon. I was going deep there, mate.
All right,
but yeah, it was pretty warm, so we had to get them off quickly. And now we're using this sort of griddle pan, which is, I'd say, more salmonella than sort of 5-star cooking standards.
I did like the flame grilled effect for the 3 seconds that you kept the lamb on there for.
Doing it for the gram and the cutaways. It's been a good day, mate. I think you've done very well.
Yeah. 3 bites. I feel like there should have been more opportunities. We haven't seen that much today, though, have we?
It's been a different day, hasn't it? But
yesterday we saw a lot. Today, hardly anything.
No, which is weird because it looked better today, didn't it? It was more overcast. It wasn't as bright, sunshiny, and mad. But who knows, mate? You have had a bite off 2 different rods, though, which is a mega one, isn't it?
Yeah, that rod sort of towards the island in that gap, that had to go. I just wish I had a rod there last night. I've missed an opportunity there, but I was exhausted. And I felt like going out last night, something bad could have happened. My brain wasn't working properly at all.
More importantly, you're catching them. Why am I blanking like an absolute fool?
Well, look, you've changed everything around, haven't you? You're fishing more where I think you should have been fishing, right underneath them tree canopies. Where it looks a bit dicey, doesn't it, when you're going right underneath the trees there, but it's totally clear under there. There's no snags there. You've dragged the lead around, you've seen that there's no snags, there's no obstacles under there. And that's where the fish want to be. They want to be underneath them canopies. It's places where not many people would think to put a rig. But, you know, them branches are not going into the water. There's no snags. Totally safe to fish there.
I'm confident, mate. I think tonight I'm fishing a lot better than I was last night. I think you'll continue to catch on those spots, but you've got backups. But all is good in the hood. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Lovely company. Slightly tainted food, but blame that on the chef. Other than that, hopefully, the next time you see us, you or me will be playing one of those. If not, you'll see a lovely sunrise. Well, the rod that I placed with Mr. Pitchers under the canopy has gone, and upon picking the rod up, I actually thought it was a tench. I didn't really wake Bob up, sorry Bob, but I've had a little glimpse of him, and it is my first carp, hopefully, if he comes in the net. So clearly, fishing those spots a little bit closer to the structure is key. I don't think he's a big one, but you've got to start somewhere.
Can I help with the netting?
Oh, Mr. Pitchers.
I promise I'll try and get him in first time.
You've got to take 3 goes at him, just like me, mate. Get him on the 3rd.
Didn't really do much at all.
He's not done a lot. There's a big ball of weed here that he's sort of destined for.
Do we know if it is a carp?
I think it's a carp.
I can't see. I can kind of have a bit of a stab at a big ball of weed.
Oh, we love a stab at a big ball.
I mean, I've got a big ball of weed.
Oh, this looks good. Oh, look at that. Oh, I can see a tail.
I can see a tail.
It looks cyprinous. Now, my netting may have been terrible. That is some heroic netting.
There you go, that's...
Hey,
it's in there. I can see a
I've
tail.
not blanked. I'm a happy angler boy. Well, thank you, mate. Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
Right, can I weigh the weed in? Because that is a Belgian PB.
It's not a very big tail, but it's a carp's tail.
What time is it?
It is...
Bedtime.
1:45 in the morning.
Hey, it's a carp. I'm off the mark. I'm happy. Yeah, let's get him out and have a look.
Yes.
I'm happy. It's a carp. That's not a tench. It was a tench about 10 minutes ago.
For sure.
Lovely stuff. Let's have a look at him, shall we? Cheers, mate. Here he is. He might not be the biggest, but he's a beautiful, pristine common and my first bite. A little trip with Mr. Pitchers in the boat, a little redeployment of rigs, closer to structure but safely. And this is the result. The first evening of them fishing properly, I'm off the mark. He's absolutely scale perfect and clean as a whistle. Hopefully we can keep that spot working, get another bite, which is slightly bigger. after we put this one back. Might be early, but I'm very happy to be awake, holding a Carp Arena carp. Look at him. Well, back you go, mate. Thank you very much. I'm off the mark. And now I need to go out and get that rig back into position. I've got a spot that's done a bite, so that's happy days. Hopefully, it does another one. 5 times the size. He's getting rid of my leg hairs. Done a great job, hasn't it? I think we could open a new beauty regime here.
Have you done? Speaking of which, have you done your hair this morning?
What do you mean?
I haven't seen it being styled since I've been here, and yet it's never out of place. There's never a hair out of place.
Once again, I'm objectified purely based on my hair, not my angling prowess. Not that incredible feat of angling that was last night.
I mean, the fact you've managed to single out the smallest carp in the lake is impressive.
It's my new pay platform, mate. You can be my first sign up. Mini carp, mate, is what I'm going to call it. I'm going to go to big fish venues throughout the course of Europe, maybe the world. We'll see where it takes us, and catch the smallest carp. Yeah, he was small, but perfectly formed. Much like the captor, I feel.
There you go. How are you feeling now?
I'm not going to lie.
After that epic capture, is that?
I couldn't sleep straight after that, to be honest, mate. I had to. I don't know if I was on a high or a bit like. I expected bigger. I can't believe that it was a small one, but it was a bite. So there is a positive in the fact that I've had a bite off that spot. But genuinely, and I'm not a negative person, the side of the swim, this side, the left-hand side, for me just feels absolutely dead. And I'm not the most upbeat about catching anything else in this trip, and it's not really like me. I just don't feel it. Do you know what I mean? Or not?
No, I kind of feel the same way. It is looking a little bit. There's nowhere near the level of activity there was when we arrived here. I mean, we're seeing fish in the edges. We're seeing fish fizzing up in the edges, feeding in the edges.
Yeah.
We've not really seen any of that at all this past. Well, certainly not today. Yeah, looking at your spots, that rod you had your fish on, that for me was the rod that was going to go. But you know what? I'm happy with what I've had, and I would very happily sacrifice my left-hand banker rod.
Banker?
Well, it's done a bite.
What, the one in the margin that you've had the 40-pounder off? That's your right-hand rod. You're on about the one to the island?
Yeah, well, there's lots of fish over there. You can, if you want to go there, I will find another spot and you can have that. Because I want to see you catch your Belgian PB.
Maybe, mate, maybe. As you say, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about nicking your spot, mate. I feel a bit tight there.
You're not nicking it. I'm gifting it to you.
Oh, what a gift. We'll see, mate, I think. It's one of those. I'm not really.
If you catch a 60 off it.
That's what I mean. Then I'd feel like
I'd be fine with it.
Absolute hell.
I wouldn't be. I'd be over the moon for you.
Would you? You
No,
wouldn't be.
Of course I wouldn't be.
You'd be absolutely livid.
No. I mean, I would never.
I've gone there, quarter 60, spewing out CC Moore's bait.
I'd never let you forget it, but I would be totally fine with it.
I caught you. I don't know if I need that in my life for the rest of the foreseeable. That 60 you have, mate? Yeah, mine. No, mate, I will see what happens. I think that spot I'm going to keep where I've had the bite. I've got to keep in play. It did a bite last night at whatever o'clock it was, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. So hopefully, worst case scenario, that produces something at a similar time. And I think, I don't know, maybe I look in open water, maybe I look for something else, but it doesn't look like this left-hand margin or this side, having walked up there, looked at all the snags, has got any activity in it at all. So I'm going to leave the rods in situ, see what happens for sort of the end of bite time. Maybe go for a little shower, shave. Don't need to do the hair, do I? And refresh, and then
Maybe
come
that's
back.
what it is. Maybe you just need a bit of a just walk away, have a bit of a refresh, and then you'll come back feeling all re-energized, invigorated, and ready to take it on again. Like starting a session all over again, afresh. And I am going to look for some open water spots. I am genuinely totally fine if you want to take that where my left hand rod is. I'm totally fine with that. I would get more pleasure from seeing you catch something right now. So I'm going to look for some open water spots, move on to that, and I think you should get a rod over there because, like I said, I would love to see you catch a big one.
Well, first port of call, finish this brew, then get refreshed, then come back at it hard.
Exactly.
Mate. Last night, isn't it? Last night, Big Fish Buzz. Thursday as well.
Big Fish Thursday.
Big Fish Thursday. It's happening.
Is it a full moon?
We can make it a full moon.
We can make it one. In the edit.
In the edit.
Yeah, okay. Throughout this session, I've talked about this lake being a really old history venue, and it is. This lake predates modern carp fishing. It was dug just after the First World War. It was originally a clay pit. In fact, you can still see the remains of the clay oven over on the other side over there. And once the working stopped, the lake was kind of left to nature. It became wild and overgrown, and the carp absolutely thrives in the wild, snaggy environment. Grew very big. In fact, this lake we're on now, Clover Lake, was named after a fish called Clover, which was one of the biggest fish in Belgium. And it attracted some of the big, high-profile Belgian carp anglers. And this lake, because of the fish it held and what was needed to catch fish from the venue, it was held in such high regard by many on the Belgian carp fishing scene. Now, since Embryo have taken over this lake, they have removed most of the snags to make it a lot safer for the fish. And I was here a year ago before Embryo took over this lake, this complex. And when I heard about the amount of work that had been carried out, I did think, well, how is that going to change the lake? Because I absolutely fell in love with this place when I came here. And it's great to see that despite all the work that Embryo have done, they've not affected or not changed the lake's character in any way. It still has an amazing feeling. It has that natural ambience and atmosphere that it did when I was here a year ago. So I think fair play to Embryo for what they've achieved there. And I'm sure the fish stocks are just going to go on and thrive, and it's going to become a better place than it's ever been.
I may be on the move. Now, Mr. Pictures, he'll no doubt say I've lost my head early, but done a couple of nights in that swim. I've had that one fish, but this morning, with one night to go, I've had a little look down the margin where I've applied some bait, around my sort of left-hand side of the swim on Clover Lake, and it just looks devoid. Now, my normal fishing in the UK, short sessions, pretty much have to make things happen, move on to opportunities. Mark's very good at this sort of big fish style of waiting in a swim, having his trap set. My sort of ADHD nature has kicked in, and I am now going to go and have a little look to see if there are any opportunities on the other lakes that are on the Carp Arena complex. There's a great head of stock in all of them. The lake at the back, I think it's called Lily Lake, looks absolutely beautiful. There's a good head of fish in there, and I only need a 28, 30 pounder, let's say, to beat my Belgian PB. I don't know if that's going to happen back on Clover Lake in that swim. So I'm going to have a little investigation at this lake, see if there's any opportunities, something to fish to. I might just do the afternoon on here. I might not fish it at all, who knows. But I've got to try and make something happen, I feel, because if I stayed in that swim, I think I'd just end up wasting a lot of valuable time with not a lot of time left on this session. Well, armed with the aid of this bad boy, I'm going to try deploy some rigs. I've definitely seen fish showing sort of over that far side, right against that canopy. So I'm going to get one out there, and then basically if I see anything show, I'm going to drop on them. Or on the way out, if I see a decent spot, I'm going to drop the rig on them. I'm going to do a few hours, just the afternoon. But it's about time I got my own vlog. Pictures bogging me down constantly. You can't catch fish, Hassan. You can't catch all the big ones. You can't catch all the big ones. Classic, isn't it? Well, this could be the start of things. I think vlogging's the future for me. My own show. It's about time I got the recognition. Yeah, this is the start of it. Alternatively, it could be an absolute waste of effort and time. I could sweat my back out in this swim and catch absolutely nothing. Either way, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let's get the rods out. There she goes out to this left-hand side, not too near that swan.
Well, one thing we haven't talked about so far is the rigs that I'm using. They are super strong, super simple, and here they are. I think it's a German rig or a turbo German rig. I don't know what they're called. Either way, here it is. It's tied using 40-pound Fox Armadillo braid. It's actually a snag leader material. It is super strong, super abrasion resistant, and this would be my go-to hook link of choice when fishing overseas or in any snaggy scenarios like we're faced with here. Although the snags have been cleared from the majority of the lake, there is still snags down there. I've actually picked up a few branches off the lake bed and they are absolutely festooned with zebra mussels. They are really, really sharp and would easily cut through a normal braided hook link or a mono hook link material. So that's why I'm using this 40-pound Armadillo braid. Now you notice the rig itself is only short. I mean, it kind of looks like a PVA bag rig. It is only around 4 inches in length. Now the reason for this is recently we've been doing quite a lot of underwater filming with Fox, and after seeing how the fish deal with standard length rigs, and by this I mean sort of 6, 7, 8 inches in length, they seem to be able to suck in a rig and eject it so many times, and you have no indication at all. You wouldn't even know it was happening, but just after watching how they come in, suck in a hook bait, eject the rig, you won't have a beep, nothing. And it happens time and time again. But after shortening the rigs down to around 4 inches in length, the amount of times they get away with it is massively reduced. You're talking almost a 100% conversion rate from those fish sucking in the bait to getting hooked. Your conversion rate is so much higher using a shorter rig. So ever since I watched that footage, I've always gone with a 4-inch rig. And the crazy thing is, this would be the sort of length rig I would use if I was dropping a rig in the edge anyway, or fishing a solid PVA bag. But when it came to actually casting it into the lake, I always kind of went with a 7-8 inch rig. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, ever since I've gone back to using shorter rigs, I'm sure my catch rate has improved. Now, this goes down to a size 4 Fox curve medium hook, and this has rapidly become my go-to hook pattern of choice. And again, this comes down to the footage we're seeing on the underwater cameras. It's just a pattern that the fish seem to have great difficulty in dealing with. Again, the conversion rate just seems to be so much higher using this pattern of hook compared to anything else, so that's why it's my go-to hook. Now, sliding on the shank, I have a micro hook ring swivel, and I've attached the hook bait with some bait floss and a blob on the end. And the hook bait itself, that is an 18mm Pacific tuna hard hook bait topped off with half a pink Carp Freaks pop-up. Now, the reason I've just gone with half a pop-up rather than the whole one is I don't want the hook bait to sit too proud off the lake bed. With the hook bait as it is right now, it sits, well, it kind of sits as it is on my hand really. The hook laying flat on the lake bed, with the hook bait itself just righted with the half of the pink pop-up, the visual topper sitting upright on the top. It's not kind of sat proud over the hook, it's not sat up off the lake bed too far. And again, the reason for doing this is once those fish are feeding in a competitive feeding situation or an active feeding situation, and by that I mean they are actually feeding on the lake bed. They're not sort of coming in and just picking at things. They are feeding on a baited situation on the lake bed. They seem to ignore anything that isn't actually on the bottom, isn't hard on the deck. So I want my hook bait to be on the lake bed where those fish are feeding, but it has the benefit of the sight topper for them to home in on, and also it is slightly more buoyant than the free offerings around it. So it's kind of that half a pop-up has kind of negated the weight of the hook, and it's a little bit lighter than the free offerings, so it should fly up in the carp's mouth much easier than the free offerings that are already in position. Now the hook bait and the micro hook ring swivel, that's kind of held in place by a micro hook bead which is positioned just below level with the barb. That allows the hook bait or the swivel to have nice free movement along the shank there, and I think that's what aids with the hooking of the fish. Once the fish ejects the hook bait or ejects the hook, you've got that extra movement where the hook bait can travel, and I think it's that force of the hook bait traveling that actually causes the hook point there to catch hold in the bottom lip. So I think it's the ejection that actually does the hooking in a lot of the situations. So that is it. That is the super simple rig. And it is simple, but it's also very, very strong and very effective.
All by myself, don't wanna be all by myself. Wasted in this game, absolutely wasted. I can't catch a fish, so it might be time to change games. Get him on the carp.
Now, while things are a bit quiet and we're waiting for the next bite, I thought I'd quickly show you the hardware that I'm using. The rods here are the Fox Horizon X6s, the 12-foot 3 3/4 pound test curve. They are quite beefy and substantial, but we are fishing towards snags after all, and I want something with plenty of backbone to be able to steer fish safely away from snags and into open water. The reels are the Fox 14,000 XC, and they are loaded with the Fox Naturals Submerged 65-pound sinking braid. Again, it sounds quite substantial, but we are fishing in snaggy situations here. Not only snaggy, but also very sharp objects down there, such as zebra mussels, things that can cut you off. So I want a nice substantial mainline that can deal with whatever may lurk down there in the depths. Now, in terms of the rod support, you'll notice we are of course fishing on staging here on the wooden platforms, and I'm using the stage stands here, the Fox Black Label stage stands. Now what they are, you've got like a stand base there which comes with a screw, and then that base just screws directly into the wooden staging, and then you can attach your bank sticks. Here it comes with a small short insert, or you can attach that was weird. I went down to get a insert and ended up coming back with a frog.
That fell off as well.
As I was saying, they do come with a short insert like that one, or you can also use the longer bank sticks up to whatever length you want if you want to elevate your rods up in the air. And yeah, they just screw directly into the staging to ensure a really rock solid, secure setup. The alarms are the Fox RX Pluses, and behind them they're fitted with snag ears. That just produces the risk that the rod's going to get pulled off the alarm. And to totally eliminate that risk, behind that I've got another stage stand there with a tall bank stick, basically acting as an extended snag ear. There's absolutely no way that rod being fished off to the right at this angle is going to get pulled off that alarm. And it also adds extra security to the overall rod support as well. Even if the middle rod was to bend, it just means that the whole frame here, the bars, the sticks, they ain't going to move at all. There's no movement in there whatsoever. Everything is rock solid. It's going absolutely nowhere. And fishing in this manner is absolutely essential when you're fishing towards snags like this. Now, one final piece of hardware here are the swingers. Now, I'm not a big swinger lover when I'm in England, but once I'm overseas, then I'm swinging all the way. And these really are my bite indicator of choice. They're just so versatile. You have the sliding weight there, which when you move away from the head, there's practically no resistance at all. And when you slide it towards the head, you gradually increase the resistance up to 2 ounces. I just find they cover all the scenarios I'm likely to face when I'm fishing overseas. Whereas in England, I do prefer to use the micro swingers and small bobbin like indicators. But in this situation, it just prevents me from having to add on extra weight or change the head size of the bobbin. I just find it's one bite indicator that covers so many possibilities. Well, we're going into the final night of the session now, and today is a completely different day. It's very warm, but overcast, muggy, humid conditions. But we just haven't seen the level of feeding activity that we have when we first arrived. I mean, when we first got here, it was 30 degrees, blazing sunshine. The fish were right in the edges, underneath the trees to escape the sun, but they were happy feeding there. You could see areas of coloured water, you could see areas where they were fizzing up, but not seeing any sort of level of that feeding activity for a few days now. I don't think there's as many fish underneath these tree canopies as when we first arrived, but without that sort of heat of the sun, there's no real need for them to be there. Obviously they've got a bit of structure and a bit of cover, so there's always going to be a fish around them sort of areas, but not so much as if they were trying to escape the heat of the day. So I think the best chance now of a fish is going to be to try and find an open water spot. We have seen the occasional fish showing out in open water, and I think now that's what I'm going to do. Look for an open water spot. There's a few humps and bumps out there, so that's what I'm trying to find, just areas of interest where I think the carp are likely to visit. So I've got the echo sounder on here that I'm just watching as I'm moving around. I think there is an area of slightly shallower water somewhere to the right of the swim, like a little bit of a hump or a bar. Most of this area is about 3.2, 3.5 meters deep. So I'm 11 feet, 12 feet, I think that is. Pretty uniform, which is kind of good in a way, because the lake is, in this area at least, relatively flat. Any sort of bumps are likely to be kind of over exaggerated. They stand out from the flat, relatively featureless areas around them. Here we've got a little bit of a change in depth now. Not by much, but it's just more of a gradual slope. Just going to get a H block ready, and as soon as I see a change in depth, I'm just going to drop a H block just to mark that position. Because when you're afloat, even though you think you're in the same area, you drop a H block over the side, and even though you might not think you're drifting or moving, you could have drifted 2 or 3 boat lengths away in no time at all. So there's quite a lot of structure down in this sort of area. I did go over a bit of a bump a second ago where there was about a ½ metre change in depth. 2.7 metres, 2.6, 2.5, there we go. That's just under a metre change in depth there, where I've dropped that H block. I still, must be a bit of a bar, still 2.5 metres here. In fact, I'm going to drop a second one just there, just to mark that spot. So I've just dropped 2 H blocks in. So where in between those 2 H blocks, there's an area where it raises up by ½ metre. And again, now we're back into 3+ metres. I'm saying metres, I wouldn't normally, I'd do it in feet, but it says metres on the echo sounder. But yeah, in between those 2 blocks, there's a bit of a hump. I'm going to go back round and investigate, see if it goes that way. But that certainly looks like an interesting area. Next to the floats now, 3.1. So we're just going alongside it. What have we got? 2.5, 2.4. So it's a proper hump here, and again drops down. So it is a noticeable change in depth, more so around the first float. Again, it's the importance of having 2 floats. So where I dropped that first one, that was already a nice change in depth, but around that first float in particular, it's running a little bit this way as well. But yeah, the biggest change in depth is just in front of the first float. So I'm really happy with that spot there. I think it's a nice, noticeable feature on what's a relatively flat lake bed. Hopefully it's an area of interest to the carp. I'm going to go back to the bank, get a rod, put a little bit of bait on it, and that'll be that trap set. The other 2 rods I'm actually going to leave in the margins. I think there's still a chance of a bite there. There certainly isn't as many fish underneath those overhangs as when we first arrived, when it was much warmer and obviously in the heat of the day. But I think those sort of areas, those snaggy areas, I think they're always going to hold resident fish regardless. So I think that's also a good chance of a bite. So 2 rods in the margins, 1 rod behind me on that open water hump. And all we can do after that is just fingers crossed and hope one of those spots can produce. There's still chance, there's still chance. Big Fish Thursday it is today. So let's hope it lives up to its name. There we go, that's the rod set for tonight. That's on that open water hump. Haven't seen any fish in the area if I'm honest, but it looks good. Well, it looks good on the sonar anyway. So hopefully that's going to pay off. Final night. Traps are set. There's not really a lot more we can do. So over to Hassan now to pull it out of the bag for us both. He's waiting next to me, poised like a coiled spring, ready to go, eager to get afloat. You getting in the boat? Oh yeah. Yeah? There we go. That's me done. Go on, Hassan, go get him.
I'm back in the swim. Not gonna lie, all that effort, fatigue, sweat, came to absolutely nothing. And at one point, upon Mark coming to pick me up from the other lake, I contemplated raiding his van for every single 10-ounce lead that he's got, filling my pockets, filling my t-shirt pockets, hoodie pockets, any other pockets, maybe even my shoes, and just walking out into the lake and kept going. Pretty low. They're just not having it. They weren't having it on that lake. They don't look like they're having it here. I think for me, there's 1 night to go. And as much as I'm dooming, I am positive. There is a chance, it only takes a minute. All those carpy cliches are going through my head. But the overriding theme at the moment is proper negativity. I'm gonna stick to the spot that's done me a bite. I'm gonna get the rod out there. I'm gonna get a rod out to my left-hand margin because there is a trickle of wind coming in. And then Mark is shifting round, which means where he's had a bite between the island, which he kindly offered for me to fish earlier as well, I'm gonna put a rod on there. And that's it. I can do no more. I've tried my little backside off to try and tempt one of these carp. And that's fishing. Sometimes it just kicks you right in the nuts. And at the moment, well, it takes repeatedly kicking me in the nuts. But it can change in an instant, can't it? I hope it does. I think also I need some food, maybe to perk me up, because I haven't eaten very much. A handful of cashew nuts and a couple of dates. Living like a squirrel. Glamorous, this carp fishing vlog. Anyway, let's get it done.
There you go. Look at the size of it though. How cool is that? Look at that.
That's good. That's how you do it.
So yeah, you can do your cooking on it, boil your kettles on it, and it keeps all the mosquitoes and things away as well. What are people's thoughts on that? Maybe it's just me that gets really excited about these things. Wow, it's a long way from... Oh, he's kicking. Well, that's got to be the worst end to a session possible, I think. I've had a take on my right-hand rod, the banker rod. That's done me a couple of bites already. And picked up the rod, the fish has gone berserk, trying to get in towards the snag, as you'd expect. I managed to turn it, and the fish has started moving along this margin. And then everything just ground to a halt again. So I've tucked to the boat, and as I'm getting down towards the fish, I've just felt something pull and then go solid again. And I've known that I've had that sickening, gut-wrenching feeling that the hook has pulled and it's managed to ditch the rig. And as I've got towards the spot I'm fishing and see my line entering in front of the snag where I was fishing, and I could see the top of the leader poking out. And as I've gone down there, I've just seen my rig hooked up on a branch. And the annoying thing is it wasn't a branch that was part of the snag, it was a branch that must have fallen in. It was floating. It was a large branch, but a large old dead branch that was floating kind of in front of where I was fishing. So I've done the hard part, getting the fish away from the snag and steering it towards safety, and just a horrible twist of fate. It's got caught up on a unseen branch that has either fallen in or whatever, but it's one of them things. But it gets worse than that, because while I was out there, I've come back towards the rods and I've seen that the line on my other rod fish towards the snaggy margin. The line completely slack, totally slack. And I said to the guys, what's happened here? I said, oh, you must have picked it up with the boat. I said, absolutely haven't. The outboard was out of the water. There was absolutely no reason for me to get attached to that line. There's a fish on that. There must be a fish on that. Obviously the guys have heard the alarm beeping, they've heard it sounding, but assumed it was me out in the boat. I've picked up the other line. And no, I hadn't picked up the other line. I've literally had a double take. And that other fish has come off as well. It hadn't done me in a snag. It had just been there for a while, just sat there shaking its head, trying to eject the rig, and it had successfully done so. So I've had 2 takes this morning, and we've got nothing to show for it. That is a kick in the tits. Well, I've wiped away the tears momentarily and I'm just about to get the rod back out there. But before I do, we've already looked at the rig, but I just want to show you the arrangement above the rig. Now, I am using inline leads. I do think they are the best lead arrangement when it comes to the hooking properties. There's nothing to swivel or pivot before the fish feels the full force of the lead, and I do think they drastically improve the hooking potential of the overall rig. Now, because we are fishing in and around snags, it is important to lose the lead on the take. If that fish does manage to go into a snag or go through some branches, I need to streamline the setup as much as possible, reduce the risk of anything getting caught up that will result in a lost fish. Now, I'm sure there's lots of you shouting at the screen right now saying, well, it's not good for the environment losing leads left, right and centre. Well, I only fish to lose the lead when I'm fishing in snaggy or weedy situations like this. In open water fishing, I see no point at all in losing lead. Plus, you've also got to consider there's around 9 million homes in the UK that still have a water supply from lead pipes. So 2.3 people average per household. So you're talking over 20 million people every year drinking water from lead pipes. So how's that lead poisoning going, folks? Anyway, that's that out of the way. So I am fishing this on a drop-off inline setup. Here I've got my inline lead, and I want to make sure that lead is definitely going to come off. So at the moment, the insert going in the top is quite tight. So I'm just going to bore it out a little bit with a pair of scissors, so it's a wider fit. That's much better. Same with the bottom plug. Just needs open a little bit more. So that's now set to fish drop-off style. So when we get a take, the fish will pull the rubber plug out the base of the lead. Then if that lead should get caught up in any branches, it just takes one pull and it's off. So we're free now to play the fish in and around the branches without any hindrance of anything that could potentially get caught up in the snag. Now, going above the lead, I've got a 60 centimetre leader of Fox Naturals 50-pound submerged leader material. This stuff sinks like a brick despite it being lead free, and it's also incredibly supple. So it pins down on the lake bed, makes everything as inconspicuous as possible, whilst also reinforcing around the rig end itself. Now, going above the Fox submerged leader, I have a second leader. This time I've got around 3 rod lengths of 60-pound Fox Fleck Camo soft steel leader material. Now, it may sound excessive, 60 pound, but in these sorts of situations, there really can't be any weak points at all. You really do have to reinforce the setup if you're to land fish from these snaggy scenarios. Now, because I'm fishing with a 65-pound braided mainline, by having this 3 rod lengths of the 60-pound mono leader, this mono provides enough stretch to provide some degree of elasticity. So it provides some sort of shock absorber should the fish do any sudden, ferocious lunges. If I'm out in the boat and I'm trying to battle the fish away from the snags, or the fish is diving underneath the boat, underneath the rod tip, it just prevents any hook pulls just by having that extra cushioning there. I guess there's a lot of people at home right now thinking this all sounds very excessive. 65-pound braided mainline, 60-pound mono leader. But you have to remember, we are fishing here for really big fish. But even if we weren't fishing for really big fish, if I was fishing at home in the UK on a snaggy venue, this would still be my go-to snaggy scenario setup. Here we're fishing for really big fish, and these big fish could be a fish of a lifetime. So there really can't afford to be any weak points or any chinks in your armour whatsoever. By using this setup, it absolutely minimises losses. Yes, we have lost 2 fish this morning, but not due to the setup failing in any way, just a massive stroke of bad luck. And I'm totally confident where I'm fishing, in and around these snags, I can safely extract a fish from these situations.
Now, whilst Mark's a little bit sad, dejected, maybe angry is a word, frustrated that he's lost a couple, losing them would be a nice thing. I've got to check my alarms work because I haven't heard them in that long. I've run around like an absolute nutter on different lakes to try and make things happen. And with however long we've got left, I have to say it's probably been the hardest session that I've had in a very, very, very long time. It's not because I haven't fished it as well as I could. I just don't think the fish have been there. And it's pretty out of my nature to sit here and sort of wait for them to rock up, but that's all I can do at the moment. There's hours left. I'm sure he'll have another chance because he's absolutely battering them. And if I'm in all honesty, right now, I don't think it's going to happen for me. But it's been a beautiful place to be, with beautiful people around. And who knows, eh? Maybe, just maybe, one of these carp takes a bit of pity on me. No. Oh, what a fun.
Oh, Carp, look.
Okay. Well, I can't believe it. Looks like I've got a chance to redeem myself after those 2 losses. The open water spots just rattled off. I say rattled off, it was actually just a very tentative drop back. But I've just took to the boat immediately. There is a lot of weed out here. In fact, I might need to get the outboard down and get to this fish a bit quicker. There is a lot of weed out here. Plus, as we've already seen today, some unseen snags down there, branches, hazards. I'm taking no risks whatsoever, straight in the boat with this one. Try and get above the fish as quickly as possible. It doesn't feel a big fish. It doesn't feel a big fish, but I don't care. It's a fish. It could be the last fish of the session. And it's always better to end with a fish than to not. There he is. Come on, get in that net. Get in that net. Oh, he's coming in backwards, upside down, all sorts. There we go, we got him. We got him. Oh, I feel better than I did 5 minutes ago. Oh, yes, we've got him. And there he is. As much as I would love to be holding a Belgian Clover Lake monster right now, I'm still pretty happy to be holding this 20-pounder, especially considering the 2 losses that happened just before this take. So yeah, I feel like I've redeemed myself in some way. I don't feel like we've really showcased the true potential of what Clover Lake has to offer. And it has been tricky fishing this week as well, so I'm quite happy with the 5 fish that we've managed to land. But time is rapidly running out on this one. It really, really is. I am going to slip this fish back quickly. I do want to get the rods back out there and fishing because we've got about an hour and a half, 2 hours of this session remaining. So there's still a chance that I can end this session with my Belgian Clover Lake monster that I ideally want to catch. Right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are, mate.
Okay, here we go, Hassan. Oh. Waited all week for this one.
I've waited all my life for this one. Pack it away, mate. It absolutely went mental. I need to change book grips next week, don't I?
Yes, you do. You book grips, please.
You were not happy with my book grips.
Come on.
There you go. What's happening? Oh, there's my lead. I think it is in that massive ball of weed. I think I can see its tail. That's a leaf. Ah. I'm going to slowly pick bits. It's there. Is it there? Yeah. Right. Yes. Give his hand with the net. Yes, it's there. Yeah! Got the net. Oh, mate! Come on, the boys! Oh, mate! I don't know how much we actually saw then. We tried to land that one-handed and hold the GoPro.
Write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
What's your PB?
My current Belgian PB is £28, 2 ounces. Okay, I don't think it's there.
I think it's very close.
I said that it was 20.
Three.
That sling?
Huh?
You need that sling?
Well, I mean, both the slings are identical, and I've just
perfect.
zeroed them. So.
I don't think I said it was £23 in the boat, didn't I?
Yeah, it's
Got
definitely
a bit bigger
that.
than that.
Oh, I think it's close.
Tell you what,
Oh, look.
you're going to read. I don't know how I feel about this.
It's £32, 12 ounces.
That I'm very happy with because it is late drama. He's not had a bucket, so I'm not having a bucket. I'm already wet, but it is a Belgian PB.
It is a Belgian PB.
It's not a.
It's a Belgian
not a-
overall
what is it?
PB.
It's not an overseas PB. What do you call it?
It's a yeah.
A continental. It's not a continental PB. So that's not a bucket.
I think you deserve a bucket for it just because of the lateness, leaving it right to the last minute,
That's
basically
how
saving your session in the dying moments. That's bucket worthy. Even
That
if
is
it wasn't
how
a
I
PB.
roll, mate. That is how I roll.
Well done.
How is that for an awesome way to round off this trip? Thank you, mate, for being here. You've smashed it with a 40-pounder. Your PB, and now my PB, 32.12.
Mate, you did well. You stuck it out right to the end. I know you were a little bit despondent this morning. I said there's always chance. It's going to happen. I feel it. And there you go.
Result. Mate, it's been a brilliant trip. Thanks to everyone at Carp Arena. Thanks to you, mate. I've learnt a lot this week. Oh, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all again soon. Cheers, mate. What a successful mission that was. What a perfect way to round off an awesome trip. I'm super buzzing. And back, mwah, you go. Thank you very much.